My next guest is Patricia Peters, who I'm super excited to interview today. Patricia is a modern shaman, former athlete, and founder of Women Unlimited International. Her ancestors are Huguenots, Scandinavians, and Vikings, hence her passion for women's inner liberation, empowerment, and self-actualization. Patricia has guided over 2,000 high-achieving visionary women to freedom and fulfillment beyond the material. Her method is rooted in ancient wisdom and is backed by science. She helps women to rise above limitations and conditionings that reside in the individual and collective non-consciousness, being imposed on women over millennia, so that they can follow their higher calling while enjoying meaningful abundance on all levels. That is beautiful. It speaks to my soul and my calling. Welcome, Patricia.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for having me, Jenny. And thank you for your kind words in the beginning. I'm so excited to be here.
It's a huge pleasure to have you here. Patricia, firstly, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to be doing what you do. What's the path that got you to where you're at?
Yes. So when I look back, or when an outsider looks at my path, it was nothing like straight. It was like, like this. But in the end, it all came down to what I'm doing now. So the women I'm working with right now is basically what I was back then, my entire life since childhood. So I was one of those high achieving women, or still am maybe, but was, or even an overachiever, especially in childhood, like at school and everywhere. And so I was hunting success after success after success, achievement after achievement, only to find out, yes, temporarily I was kind of happy or satisfied. And I always loved what I did. So it wasn't that I did something that anybody told me you have to do it. Yeah. However, I always felt there was something missing. And although all those achievements and wonderful life and making good money and having a career and being an athlete and, whatever, there was always something missing. And I came to the realization that it's not the next material thing, or it's not the next achievement, or it's not the next business success or whatever. It's not something tangible. It's something deep inside. It's something was missing to nourish my soul. And as I say, or as you said in the description, it's this meaningful success. It's this abundance on all levels that doesn't have to do, or not necessarily has to do, with material things or money or something like that. No, it's to really unfold and embody who you really are, not all of the different roles that you play, or that you think you have to play, or that someone told you to play. So and then, I went through multiple businesses that I founded, and so it was back in the 80s when I came across, as an athlete, I came across what they called back then mental training. Yeah. But it was spiritually, a spiritual approach. And that changed everything. And all of a sudden I noticed, wow, doors are opening. There is more to life. There is the intangible. There are energies, all this kind. And so ever since then, I followed this path, and helping women to have the same wonderful experience, because I see so many women, and especially high achieving women, suffering,
I think a lot of us are trying to pay it back and help others because we've been on a similar path. Thank you for sharing. It's so interesting, these convoluted paths and turning points we all take, and to get us where we are and where we're going. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Patricia, I know that you're going to speak about our feminine, the power of our feminine ancestors and our feminine lineage. And just a vulnerable share, my mom died 2 months ago, and we were very close. And I feel her so strongly now with me. And I'm also very aware of my grandmother since my mother's passing. So your talk today is very timely for me and very real. And I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to be, but, and I'm super interested in what you have to share with us today. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Yeah, my mom also is in spirit, and I know the feeling, especially when you're closed. Yeah.
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 So can you go ahead and tell us some of your wisdom and
Yeah, so the reason why I'm so into not just helping women, it's that especially for women, so it's what I call the feminine wound. And the feminine wound is something, to a lot of us women, it's unconscious, subconscious, non-conscious, pick whatever word you want to pick, because we are also part of the collective. And I'm sure that you know that science, over the last couple of years, they did a lot of experiments and stuff like that. And they proved that there is something like, for example, intergenerational trauma and some kind of cellular memory, not just the DNA that we inherit, but also experiences and memories. So, of course, we are connected to our maternal lineage. And as you say, you feel your mother around, you are very aware of your grandmother, of course, because it's the energy. Energy never dies. Energy can shift form and shape, but it's basically indestructible. And we have access to, some call it the soul, some call it the energy. So don't get hung up on words. It's just words. And depending on the approach you take, it can be different words, but they have the same meaning when it comes down to the essence. So,
could you unpack for us a little more of what you mean by the non-conscious feminine wound, and how does that show up for women in their lives?
Yeah.
Like, how does that
So
express?
what is more conscious to us is, of course, what we experienced, or what we have been told, be it by our parents or teachers or peers or whoever. So that's the conscious part, the part that we can remember. The non-conscious, I prefer to call it the non-conscious part, is this part that we either do not remember because it happened too early in our life, as a baby, for example, or even in the womb. And also all this societal programming and all those limitations that have been imposed on women over millennia, and they are still in the collective field, in the collective subconsciousness. And even if it wasn't our personal experience, but as women, we are part of this feminine field. So we are connected, and it influences us. So every negative thing actually that happened, because we are women, not because of something we did, for example, but just because we are here, embodied and incarnated as women. And when you go back in history, I mean, that's a pretty, pretty long time, all those imprints and limitations and programmings that happened to women in the collective. Yeah.
So it's
so
that multi-layered. Part of it is our direct lineage, and part of it is just being women, the whole collective energy.
So of course, the direct lineage, of course, is the strongest part of this. And so the feminine wound has negative consequences, of course, for us. So even if we didn't have negative own experience. I mean, there are some happy women who grew up in a perfect world, yeah, but still they are connected to the collective, of course. So the consequences that I see, especially in my clients, is a lot of women, they suffer from perfectionism, from playing small, from procrastinating, which all of them kind of are intertwined. A lot of women try to outman men, especially in careers or when they work in fields that are still in industries that are still male dominated, for example. So they do not take the feminine approach, but they try to be better as men. They compete against men, or at school. Oftentimes it starts at school, for example, or in the own family. So a girl who has brothers, and on some kind of level she feels, okay, it seems to be that I'm not worthy enough. My brothers, they are regarded like they have more value or whatever. So women, girls, oftentimes tend to, I always have to prove myself. I have to work. Nothing is good enough or enough. Whatever I do, I'm not good enough. So those are the most common negative outcomes, and that cause the most suffering.
You hear this so much. It's so real.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
we're still all dealing with this now.
Yeah.
Have you got anything further you'd like to say on this and going forward? Like about women and basically mothers and daughters.
Yeah. So the relationship between mother and daughter and mother is the strongest there is. And it's, of course, it's the deepest and emotional, energetically, basically on all levels. And of course, that can be a blessing or it can be a curse, depending on how the relationship is. So
what is the gift within that?
So the gift within that, I come to this in a second. So most people know our DNA, we get 50% from the father and 50% from the mother. However, our mitochondrial DNA, we only get from the mother. So basically we have more from our mother. And the mitochondria in the cells, they are the power plants for our cells. The mitochondria, their job is to create, to provide energy. So they are basically, it's the energetic, creative life force. So, and this is the biggest gift to unwrap, to become aware and conscious that our mother, grandmother, and so on and so forth, it's like a torch they passed down to us. It's basically the ability to create life, to create energy for life. So especially if your relationship wasn't that good with your mother, the biggest gift to unwrap is to come to inner peace, which doesn't mean, okay, everything was fine. No, it's just, it is what it is, or it was what it was. To acknowledge your mother and their mother and so on, that they were the channels who brought you into this life. And they gave you the gift of creating energy, of creating life force for you. To acknowledge that, and then to consciously tap into that. That can be a huge boost, be it in your career, be it in your personal growth or spiritual development, or, and this is one of my specialties, to embody your true essence, to unwrap and embody your true essence as the feminine, the female being that you are in this lifetime.
And how do people do that practically? How do you tap into that feminine power of your lineage and bring it into your present moment, into your lived experience day by day?
Yes. So one thing is, if you download my free gift, I guide you through an exercise where you can do exactly this, where you can just like close your eyes, do it. I will guide you through, and you will be receiving the most important message that you need right now for a question that's burning, and or the biggest gift you need right now. And you can do this over and over, not just once, you know?
That sounds like
Okay,
an
but for now,
amazing, that sounds like an amazing gift. Thank you so much. Yeah,
yeah,
go and take advantage of that.
yeah.
And the link will be below this video. So
Mhm.
please download Patricia's gift.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
thank you for
yeah.
that. I love it because you can keep using it and get new messages. So
Yes, yes. So you can apply it to all
continual
areas of
process.
your life and ask questions, and yeah, you will be guided through. You do not need anything. Just, you know, just try it out. Doesn't hurt. It only helps. Yeah, yeah.
Sounds amazing.
So and it's pretty easy, and it's just a couple of minutes. So not complicated, no nothing. Just let you be
Well, I'm
guided.
definitely going to try that. I will
Yeah,
be downloading that for sure.
yeah.
Patricia, just take us through what mindfulness means for you and what embodiment means for you.
Mhm. So, mindfulness for me is being present in this moment. And it actually means for me kind of the opposite of mindfulness. It means that your mind is as empty as it can be. So, of course, we can't switch off all of our thoughts. That's pretty impossible. However, mindful for me means that all those unnecessary red races that oftentimes go on in the brain, the self-talk, especially the negative self-talk, is kind of, you know,
Switched off.
on the side, you know, we just ignore it. And we are focused in the here and now, whatever we do or don't do, whatever we look at or experience. So, and it also has to do kind of with the observer position, so that we kind of observe what we do and do not get caught up in coming from a place of reflexes and instincts and reaction, but to consciously, awarely act or don't act.
It's to be in presence and not be in a reactive state to all the things going on around us.
Yes, to be triggered and, you know, like a leaf in the hurricane, and yeah, but
And then
being.
the embodiment part of that.
So the embodiment also has to do with being present, of course, in your body, to also perceive your body, always reconnect with your body. For example, where are my feet standing? This is where I am. This is the here and now. Again, I'm present. And embodiment also mean that, so there is a lot of concepts, psychological or spiritual or whatever. However, if they stay in the on the level of the intellectual concept, we haven't embodied it. So embodiment basically is to really live this, you know, to live,
Sometimes
to
if
give
a concept
your.
is just in our head, we can't even really speak about it. It hasn't even come down to our throat chakra. You know, people walk around just living,
Yes.
reacting to things. It's just
Yeah.
bringing that down into
Yes.
deep presence and feeling
Yes.
your
Bring
body deeply.
living
Um,
it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Infuse
mentioned
our
a,
doing.
sorry.
Pardon me? Infuse those concepts in our doing and what we do and how we do it, what we do. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned an experience, taking the guests through an experience.
Yeah, if you like to, I can guide you through a telepathic conversation with your mother. It doesn't matter if she's still here or if she's in spirit. So Yeah.
Mm.
So
In my case, in spirit, but for all the people listening, so it can be with your mother who's passed or is here presently. Okay.
Yes, yes. Please just make sure that you're in a safe place. So not while you're operating machines or in traffic or whatever. So, but then you can do it later, maybe watch the recording or so. So I invite you to close your eyes and for a second, drop into your body and just observe your breath. And now imagine your mother is standing a couple of feet away in front of you. And feel the connection to her. So the connection can be, for example, if we want to tap especially into the feminine lineage, the connection can be from womb to womb or from navel to navel or from heart to heart, third eye to third eye. It doesn't matter what comes naturally to you. And when you feel this connection, now your mother standing in front of you, you can ask her whatever you want to ask her and listen openly, without judgment, without interpretation, what she has to tell you. Maybe you want to ask her something that you couldn't do and you have no more chance to do. Or you can ask her something that's just impossible to ask in our human interaction. And you can also tell her everything you always wanted to tell her. And after you had this conversation, thank her for showing up energetically. Say goodbye. And if you want to hug or kiss or shake hands or don't do any of the above, everything is fine. And then you consciously, in your inner mind, say goodbye and turn around so that you do not see her anymore. And come back into the here and now and open your eyes. So that was a pretty short version because I want to be respectful of the time.
Thank you very much. That was very powerful.
Okay. Yeah. And oftentimes we get messages we never, or they ask us something we never had thought of. And that's also a way to tap into your ancestral line. You can do this exercise with everyone, with your grandmother, great-grandmother. You do not even have to know them. You can just ask for the feminine, the female ancestor who wants to show up for you, even if you never met them. And there's a lot of power. So when I went through my processes with my lineage, and especially, and you might smile or laugh right now, but especially my Viking lineage was so powerful. The energy and the messages I received and the loving way they pointed out for me and guided me was priceless.
That's powerful. So we can go as far back as it's irrelevant as we choose.
Yes, yes. And so I'm a fan of, because when we consciously choose, we oftentimes choose from a place of our limitations or conditioned egos. So I'm a fan of asking whoever wants to show up or whoever is most helpful for this situation. So I invite you to be very creative with that and be open, because the solution sometimes is not where we think it is.
I like that. That's opening up for guidance.
Yeah.
Basically, for our highest good, to whoever's the most.
Yes. Yeah. And
The
to
right
surrender to the higher
person,
power.
yeah, for imparting that message. That's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sure, that was great.
Can be very touching. Yes.
Yeah, it's very recent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You've told us about your gift already, so that's perfect. Just reminding everybody, that gift sounds amazing, and the link will be below here. So thank you again for that. And Patricia, have you got any final words of wisdom, a little nugget that you'd like to leave us with?
I always like to close with an ancient proverb, and there is a lot of wisdom in it, even if it maybe sounds at first glance, or when you first hear it, might sound too simple. But it has a lot of wisdom, and I invite you to dive into that. And the greeting goes, bless the now, expect only the best, and trust in yourself.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was
Been
a pleasure.
pleasure.